Dear students, today I would like to present a topic which is actually very simple to you, that is the electronic spectroscopy of polyatomic molecules. So I think you have seen my last video about the electronic spectroscopy or the UV visible spectroscopy of diatomic molecule, where we have discussed the Frank quantum principle and the consequence of Frank quantum principle and all. So today very briefly I will tell you about the electronic spectroscopy of polyatomic molecules. So fundamentally I will give you some fundamentals before starting the electronic spectroscopy of polyatomic molecules. Now in this class normally we will discuss about the electronic transitions. What are the type of electronic transitions present in the polyatomic molecule? So here you see, very fundamentally you know that our atomic orbitals, atomic orbitals combined to form molecular orbitals. Atomic orbitals combined to form molecular orbitals. So what are the atomic orbitals? You can write this S, P, D, F. These are all the atomic orbitals, and combined to form molecular orbitals like sigma, pi, pi star and sigma star. These are all the molecular orbitals. So it's a very fundamental information. Okay, suppose I can just draw one bonding and anti-bonding. So after that you may be studied about bonding and anti-bonding concept. Okay, atomic orbitals combined to form molecular orbitals. So here the number is also important. That means two atomic orbitals combined to form two molecular orbitals. That's very important. So same number of atomic orbitals, some number is there, same number of atomic molecular orbital will form. So let us take an example of the 2px plus 2px orbital. So what is the shape of 2px? You know that the shape of 2px is the dumbbell shape. So plus and another dumbbell shape. So this is called a linear type overlapping of p orbitals. And you know that normally we will represent the phase of the orbitals like this, So when it is combined, that is the two atomic orbitals are combined, normally I told you that it will result in two molecular orbitals. So one will have the lower energy and other one will have the higher energy. So that is the concept. So this concept you may be knowing in your higher secondary classes, you already studied, but for our introduction I am telling you this one. Okay, so the low energy concept, the low energy molecular orbital is known as the bonding molecular orbital. So this is bonding, you see, this is the bonding molecular orbital. You can represent it as BMO. So actually what is this BMO? This BMO is sigma. That means linear overlap. It is resulted by the linear overlap of the orbitals. So the next one you can see that is the anti-bonding molecular orbital. We will see how can we express this anti-bonding molecular orbital. Okay, so we already draw the picture of BMO, and next I will draw the anti-bonding molecular orbital. So there is no bonding actually. Okay, so it can be represented by like this. Okay, it can be represented like this. Okay, so you can see the shading the face of the orbitals will become like this. Okay, so here it is. You see what is this orbital? This orbital is known as the ABMO, anti-bonding molecular orbital, that can be represented by sigma star, sigma star. So that's about the bonding concept of bonding, but very preliminary concept about bonding. So here I am telling you this one because I want to say about the electronic transition. Normally an electronic transition is taking place from a HOMO level to a LUMO level. HOMO level to LUMO level. So what do you mean by this HOMO and LUMO? HOMO means what? Highest occupied molecular orbital. Highest occupied molecular orbital. LUMO means what? Lowest unoccupied molecular orbital. So HOMO to generally all the type of electronic transitions will take place from HOMO to LUMO level. So that is the first thing you have to understand when you are talking about the electronic spectroscopy of polyatomic molecule, HOMO to LUMO. Then we will just see what is HOMO LUMO energy levels. I am just drawing some energy levels here. That is for a molecule. I am just drawing the electrons present in the energy level. So let us be like this. So which energy level you can call it as the HOMO of this particular molecule? You can see, you can call this level as the HOMO. That means highest occupied molecular orbital. Occupied with what? That means occupied with electron. The energy level is occupied with electron. You can see that it is occupied with electron. And what about the next level? Next level is called the LUMO level. LUMO level means lowest unoccupied molecular orbital. Okay, so what is the peculiarity of this one? Lowest unoccupied. Unoccupied means unoccupied with electrons. So the chance of transition, the transition chance is normally from HOMO to LUMO. Electronic transition chance is from HOMO to LUMO. Okay, so this is the most probable transition in all the type of molecules. So you have to you need some information about the energy levels and all. That's all. Okay, so here you see I will give you one example of this hydrogen molecule. So in the case of hydrogen molecule, this HOMO LUMO, how can you draw the HOMO LUMO? Suppose this is the energy gap, and suppose this is the HOMO LUMO levels. So what is the HOMO level here? In the case of hydrogen, you can represent it as sigma. Sigma is the bonding molecular orbital, and here you can represent the sigma star. So here also you can see in the case of hydrogen, two atomic orbitals combined to form two molecular orbitals, sigma and sigma star. Okay, sigma and sigma star. So here sigma consists of how many electrons? Two electrons. So this particular level is known as the HOMO level, and this level is known as the LUMO level. Actually, you see, experimentally you can calculate this energy, how much energy is needed to for the transition of one electron from this position to this position. That is around 258 kilocalorie per mole. 258 kilocalorie per mole. Okay, so now next I will give you some information about what are the different type of possible electronic transition in polyatomic molecules. So just I will show you one diatomic molecule, hydrogen, and we have to go to the higher type of molecule. So that is why I told you last time, that means the electronic spectroscopy or the UV visible spectroscopy is highly applicable to the conjugated type systems. That means molecules with multiple bonds and aromatic conjugated type systems. Okay, so first we can talk about the energy levels, and then we will discuss about the transitions. Okay, so what are the important energy levels available for the electronic transition of the molecules. Okay, so I can write here this particular level. I will write it as the level sigma. What is sigma? You know that the lowest molecular orbital. Okay, and then comes the pi molecular orbital. These two are known as the bonding molecular orbital. So, and after that you can see n. N means what? N is the non-bonded electrons. You can see in water, on the oxygen, you can see the non-bonded electrons. And after that, what will come? Anti-bonding will come. That is, you can see the pi star, then and finally you can see the sigma star. These are the available energy levels. And you can also see this is the bonding molecular orbital. This is also bonding molecular orbital. This is what? This is non-bonding molecular orbital. So that means non-bonded electrons you can see there. This is ABMO, anti-bonding molecular orbital, and this is also ABMO, anti-bonding molecular orbital. Okay, so bonding you can see here, non-bonding you can see here, and anti-bonding you can see here. So this is the common energy levels possible for the electronic transition. Then we will just see what are the type of electronic transition you can draw here. That one is called the sigma to sigma star. So this particular transition is known as the sigma to sigma star transition. So what are the other things? You can also draw the other one. That means the pi to pi star transition. Pi star transition. The next one is this is pi and pi to pi star transition. Pi to pi star transition. Okay, so transition is taking place from normally this HOMO to LUMO, and you can also draw n to pi star transition. N to pi star transition here, and this is known as n to pi star transition. Okay, finally you can also draw n to sigma star. N to sigma star transition. So these are the available type of transitions in polyatomic molecules, and we can now just say what is, you can classify this. You can also go for some examples of this type of transitions. So what type of molecules you can observe this sigma to sigma star transition? That's very important. Okay, so you know that sigma bond means what? So bond, single bond type compounds, that means saturated compounds like alkanes, hydrocarbons, you can see the sigma to sigma star bond. Okay, see the CH bond is a single bond, that is known as a sigma bond. There you can see the sigma electrons. So there will be you know that the bonding means sigma may be there and sigma star may be there. So that is the example for this type of. Under which category this pi to pi star is coming? Pi to pi star. You know that almost all the type of conjugated systems, that means the compounds with multiple bonds, double bonds, triple bonds, all these things have this pi to pi star transition. So very good examples are the conjugated systems, aromatic systems, all these type of systems you can see. A very good example for this showing the pi to pi star is your carbonyl group. Okay, so what is the case of n to pi star transition? Okay, where is n to pi star? N is the non-bonded electron. So you need a non-bonded electrons or lone pair of electrons on a particular atom, and also you need a double bond or triple bond. You need a pi electrons. So both you have to satisfy. Okay, so very good example is your C double bond O. The last I already told you. In C double bond O, on the carbon, on the oxygen, you can see the lone pair of electrons, and also there is pi electrons. Are there. So this type of transition will take place here. Okay, so normally you can say that the atom with a lone pair of electron and unsaturation should be also there. Unsaturated compounds with a lone pair of electrons on one atom is showing this n to pi star transition, and finally you have the n to sigma star transition. So what is here? You can see n to sigma star transition. N to sigma star, what is the condition? There should be lone pair of electrons. And also there should be sigma bond. That means saturated system. Okay, so now you can tell an example of this one. You can tell example of methyl alcohol. Methyl alcohol. That means here you can see the lone pair of electrons, and also you can see the sigma bonds. So you can expect n to sigma star transition. So when you are talking about the energy of all these things, that is also very important. Okay, so you can check the energy. You can see that sigma to sigma star has the very high energy, which it needs a very high energy for the electronic transition. That means in the case of a saturated type compounds. And I told you that in electronic spectroscopy, polyatomic UV visible spectroscopy is highly applicable to the unsaturated systems, mainly the conjugated systems, aromatic conjugated systems. So there aromatic conjugated systems, their pi to pi star transition is very important. Okay, the pi to pi star transition is very important. So there actually it's very important one, transition is pi to pi star transition. Now you can arrange in the energy order. You can see that sigma to sigma star has very high energy, and again it comes n to sigma star, and n to sigma star, then what? Then comes the pi to pi star, and finally comes to the n to pi star. Okay, so that is about the energy order. That means very high energy is needed for the sigma to sigma star transition. Okay, then I will just give you some introduction about the conjugated system. I told you that this pi to pi star transition is very prominent in the case of aromatic conjugated systems. Okay, so I am just taking an example of CH2 double bond CH2. What is the name of the compound? This is ethyl or ethylene consists of double bond. This double bond consists of one pi bond and another one is one sigma bond. Okay, so I am just drawing the pi electronic level of this particular particular compound. Okay, so you have to write the HOMO first and LUMO, because the electronic transition is normally taking place from HOMO to LUMO. Okay, so which electrons we have to consider here? You know that sigma electrons are bound very hardly in the bond. And what about pi electrons? Pi electrons are somewhat free, so that is why you can expect some delocalization in the case of aromatic systems. It's somewhat weak compared to the other bond. So we will consider the pi electrons here. How many pi electrons are in this system? In ethene or ethylene, how many pi electrons are in the system? 2. That means one bond means 2 electrons. So this is the HOMO level and this is the LUMO level of this particular molecule. And what happens here? The electronic transition will happen from HOMO to LUMO. Okay, so when we consider the next double bond system, conjugated double bonded system, I'm just considering the case of butadiene. Okay, that's the next one is the butadiene. Butadiene consists of two double bonds conjugated. We will see what is happening here in the case of this particular system. Okay, butadiene. I will draw the butadiene. Butadiene you can represent like this because it consists of two double bonds. It's a conjugated system. Okay, so when you are drawing the energy levels according to compared to this, you can draw the energy levels like this. Okay, how many pi electrons are there? You can check now. Okay, how many pi electrons are there? This is here 2 and here 2 pi electrons. Total 4 pi electrons are there, and also pi electron levels there is also 4. So here also you can consider like that. There are 2 pi electrons to 2 levels. Here 4 pi electrons and 4 level you can draw. Okay, so here we are only considering the pi electrons. That is why this type of energy level you can expect. Okay, so now you can mark the pi electrons. How many pi electrons? 4 pi electrons. 4 pi electrons you can arrange like this. Okay, so you know that one energy level you can accommodate 2 electrons. So which is the HOMO? This one is HOMO and this one is the LUMO level of this one. Okay, so now you just see very important thing here about the energy gap between HOMO and LUMO. Energy gap. Here it is this much energy gap for a double bond, but when the number of double bonds increases, that means when number of a conjugation increases, the HOMO-LUMO level gap decreases. So what is the advantage of, or what is the consequence of the reduction of HOMO-LUMO gap? Electronic transition will take place very fastly, and that will be the most probable transition again. Okay, so this particular transition we are focusing here is the pi to pi star transition. That means in the case of a conjugated system, that has a pi to pi star transition at the high indents level. Okay, so because the energy gap is decreasing, so when conjugation increases like that, means what happens? Okay, so here you see we have considered only one double bond and 2 double bond. So when it is 3 double bond, 4 conjugation increases, I can say that when conjugation increases, what will happen? Okay, that we will see. Okay, when conjugation increases, what happens to the HOMO-LUMO levels? So that can be explained. Explained in the case by a model. Maybe you may be studied that called the particle in a box model. So let us just discuss about that model and another peculiarities of this one. Okay, here now it is understood that when conjugation increases, HOMO-LUMO gap is decreases. That means this is the first double bond we have started, then it will come the butadiene, then again it will come the other 3 double bonds in conjugation, 4 double bonds in conjugation, like that it is going. Okay, like that it is going. So you see, I already told you that this gap is decreasing. And more conjugated system means in the visible range you will be getting a very high indents color. You may be knowing about the color of tomato. You know that tomato color is very intense red color, red tomato. The compound responsible for that color is lycopene. Lycopene. What is the peculiarity of lycopene? Lycopene consists of 11 conjugated double bonds. 11 conjugated double bonds, that is 11 conjugated double bonds you can see like this if you check the structure of lycopene. So what happens, lycopene has 11 conjugated double bonds and it shows red color, a correct red color. Why it is red color we will see. Okay, here you can see that for in the case of these linear type conjugated systems, you can consider it as a box. You can consider it as a box. Okay, so this is actually the model. The model is actually known as a particle in a box model. Particle in a box model. Okay, so what is the use of this model here? You see, in this model, particle in a box model, there is an equation for energy. E is equal to n square h square by 8 ma square. E is equal to n square h square by 8 ma square. So A means what? N is the principal quantum number and h is the Planck's constant, m is the mass, and A is what? A is actually the length of this box. Particle in a box model means what is the particle here? Particle is the electron. So electron is in a box here. It's less like this. Okay, A you can see. Okay, so I can tell you that when the energy, so that means it is going towards like this. When A increases means energy decreases. When A increases means energy decreases. Energy decreases. So here energy decreases. Energy decreases means what? Energy decreases means what? The frequency. Energy decreases means frequency is also decreasing. Okay, frequency is directly proportional. And one more thing you can draw. Frequency decreasing means what? Frequency decreasing means wavelength increasing, because nu is inversely proportional to lambda. Wavelength increases. Now you can find out the answer why tomato has this beautiful color. That means lycopene is the compound there. It consists of 11 conjugated double bonds in this fashion. So what happens? It will show the light in the high wavelength region. What is that light? That color is red, attractive red color. Okay, so that is about the conjugation increases, what happens like that. Okay, then I will next I will tell you some two terminology. Here one more thing I can tell you. There are the transitions. Normally there are two types of transitions. One is called allowed transition and other one is called the forbidden transition. Okay, so actually among these this pi to pi star transition and n to sigma star transition is categorized as the allowed transition, and is forbidden transition is the n to pi star transition. What is the word meaning? What is the meaning of this allowed and forbidden? In spectroscopy, allowed transition and also forbidden transition will take place. Okay, forbidden means it will not take place. There is no meaning like that. Allowed transition and forbidden transition will also take place, but allowed transition is high intense. Allowed transition intensity will be very high. But in the case of forbidden transition, intensity will be very low. So our pi to pi star transition is an allowed transition, so it has high intensity. Okay, then I will introduce you two important terms related here the electronic spectroscopy. electron spectroscopy. So by the way, I am telling you, almost you see in the visible region, it's very attractive. You know that you can see different colors in our nature: red color, blue color, the color of the flowers, the color of the leaves. All these things are the consequence. The color, the production of color is the consequence of electronic excitation. It is the fate of electronic excitation. So that is why we can see attractive colors and dye colors. Maybe you know about the color of the dyes in your dress. People will use in your dress attractive colors. That is due to the chemical colors. There I will introduce you some of the groups which are responsible for light absorption. So in molecule there are some groups for the absorption of light. That is actually, these people are playing a very important role in showing the color in the visible region. Okay, so we will see some terminology related to that. That is nothing but chromophore and chromophore and oxochrome. So we will just see what is a chromophore, what are the examples of a chromophore, and what do you mean by this oxochrome. So in a simple way, I will explain what is this chromophore and oxochrome. Okay, so I think you understand the understanding. These are very simple concepts. In simple way, I am telling to you what I mean by this chromophore. So there are two terms. One is chromophore, and other one is the oxochrome. Okay. So what do you mean by a chromophore? Chromophores are the groups which are responsible for the light absorption in a molecule. Okay, so there are certain groups which is responsible for the light absorption in a molecule. So what are these type of groups? Normally the unsaturated groups like C double bond C, N double bond N. You can see in particular different type of dyes, you can see this N double bond N, known as the azo dyes. N double bond N, that C double bond O, C double bond O, C triple bond C. All these types of groups are known as the chromophore. That means these unsaturated sites are responsible for the absorption of light. So the groups which are responsible for the absorption of light is known as the chromophore. Then next we can explain what we mean by oxochrome. Okay, oxochromes are the groups. Oxochromes are normally saturated groups that can shift the wavelength of the chromophore groups. That means oxochromes are normally associated with the chromophore. If it is associated with a chromophore, that will shift the wavelength of the chromophore. That means it will influence the absorption, light absorption of this chromophore. Okay, so that is the definition of oxochrome. So a good example is OH group, and your OH group is an example of oxochrome. And also your halogen group, that means Cl groups, alkoxy groups. These type of groups are SH thio groups. These type of groups are known as saturated groups. Maybe normally these type of groups consist of lone pair of electrons on this that can be contributed to the delocalization of the whole system. So that may be the reason for the influence of oxochrome over the chromophore. So I will draw one structure here, then I think you can understand what you mean by these things. Okay, this is your benzene ring. Suppose I am attaching an OH here, and N, I am attaching N double bond N, and another benzyl ring, benzyl ring. Okay, so here in this molecule, this particular group, OH group, is known as the oxochrome, and this group N double bond N is responsible for the light absorption. It is known as chromophore. So normally this type of rings are known as the chromogen. Double bond itself is an unsaturated site for the light absorption. I told you that there are a lot of things will influence the UV visible spectra. I will draw a typical UV visible spectra here like this. Okay, so I told you here UV visible spectra, you can write absorbance. You can write absorbance, and here it is wavelength. So wavelength is going like this, increasing in this fashion. So that is your UV visible spectra. So I can draw a typical UV visible spectra here, okay. And you know that this particular area, if you draw like this, you will be getting the lambda maximum. Okay, you will be getting the lambda maximum. So the lambda maximum value. Okay, lambda maximum value. So let us take this as the pi to pi star transition, because we are talking about this conjugated or unsaturated type systems, pi to pi star transition. Let us take it as pi to pi star transition. Okay, oxochrome, I told you that due to the oxochrome there will be some shift in the wavelength of this oxochrome. If you replace it with some other group, means there will be a change in the group, change in the wavelength. That is a change in the lambda maximum. When there is a change in the lambda maximum like this, you see, that means it can be shifted to here and also here. This lambda maximum can be shifted to here or here. So I can just draw like this. Suppose it is shifting like this, means this type of shift, that means it is shifting to the low wavelength region. Is known as the blue shift of lambda maximum. And when it is going to the higher wavelength region, you can call it as the red shift. And also you see one more important thing is there. These things can influence the absorbance also. That means the intensity of lines. That means if the intensity of this absorbance curve is high, you can call it as hyperchromic effect. And here you can this decrease is known as the hyperchromic and hypochromic effect. Okay, so blue shift and red shift has another names. I think it is one is this red shift is also known as barthochromic shift, and blue shift is known as the hypsochromic shift. We will just see some 2 or 3 examples where this how this shift is happening in the lambda maximum. So I will take one or two simple example to just show you how this lambda maximum is shifting. So when the shift happens, and what is the reason for the shift of this lambda maximum. Okay, so lambda maximum can be shifted to red region means high wavelength region, and also to a low wavelength region according to the groups associated with it. And sometimes the solvents can be also affected this affect this system. Sometimes due to the effect of the solvent also this shift will be happening. So that is also a very big subject. You can understand. That means you have to read a lot about the effect of the solvents. I will tell you some 2-3 examples related to the factors affecting the lambda maximum of a particular compound. So I am just writing the nitrophenol here. Nitrophenol, your nitrophenol, this benzene ring, and this is the OH, and this is your N nitro group. This is your ortho. Okay, sorry, it is not like this. NO2. NO2 will be okay. So this is actually the nitrophenol, you can see. Okay, and okay, so you see this structure. So what happens here, you see this is your OH, and orthonitrophenol under basic condition, or alkaline condition, you can see it has the influence of OH group, OH minus. So what happens here? So due to the OH minus here, what happens here? You see, due to the effect of OH minus can abstract one hydrogen, and it will become O minus. Okay, so here actually the lambda maximum for this type of compound is 255 nanometer, and here it is actually 265 nanometer. What happens here? The lambda maximum increases. So why the lambda maximum increases? Because you see that oxygen has a negative charge here that is available for the delocalization. That means the conjugation that is available for the effect of conjugation. That means the extent of conjugation, it can increase. Okay, so I told you that when the extent of conjugation increases, what happens? The energy level gap will become very small, and the high wavelength transition will happen. Okay, so that is about the one example. And another example you can consider as the consider a phenol group, an aniline. Okay, aniline in acidic medium. So I will write the values here. Aniline. So now you can see the redshift happened earlier. That means lambda maximum is going to the higher wavelength region due to the alkaline medium effect. Then you take aniline. So aniline compound, you know, aniline is like this, NH2. Okay, so normally you know that in aniline, what is the peculiarity? Aniline, the peculiarity is you can see one oxochrome here. This is the chromogen or chromophore. You can see an oxochrome here, NH2, and there is a lone pair of electrons are available that will be contributed to the delocalization. So for that is why it is absorbing around 280 nanometer. Okay, when it is in acidic medium, so if you are considering the acidic medium, aniline in acidic medium shows a very low compared to this lambda maximum, a very low lambda maximum it is showing. So we will see how why this is showing like this. Okay, so you can see here what happens when aniline is in acidic medium H plus. In acidic medium, what happens? The protonation will take place. Protonation of the system will take place like this. Protonation will take place like this. So for protonation, you know that there will be the already there was a contribution for electron. There is no it is not contributing to the delocalization of this system. So normally the extent of conjugation decreases here, and it is absorbing in 203 nanometer. Okay, so here you see like this you can see many factors are affecting the system, and here you can see the blue shift. Okay, so here 280 to 203 nanometer for a compound in a different condition means it's a blue shift. Okay, blue shift. And also for solvent has a different effect on the UV visible spectra. So normally if you are using less polar solvent and also highly polar solvent, the chromophore light absorption will shift into different wavelength. Okay, blue shift or red shift you can see. Okay, that means I can see just briefly I will tell you that in the case of less polar solvent polarity, that means when the solvent polarity increases, when the solvent polarity increases means your pi to pi star shift to longer lambda maximum. That means it will go to the red shift. Okay, and next your n to pi star will go to blue shift. This is some examples of the effect of solvent. So normally people are selecting the solvent which will not interact with our sample, that means the solute. Okay, and normally the solvent will be some saturated type solvents. So if you have a conjugated bond in the solvent, that will affect the lambda maximum value of your sample, and also the solvent should not react with our sample, and also solvent will not form any hydrogen bond, any interaction with our sample. So the selection of solvent is very important in the case of UV visible spectroscopy. Okay, so these are the some preliminary idea about the electronic spectroscopy of polyatomic molecules. So please read it well, then please consider to do some more and more examples. Then I think you will be thorough with all these subject. Okay, thank you.